Uduasha city, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow. 800 years ago, the gates of death were broken by the Emperor Immortal. The 5 key bearers, however, had already unlocked them and walked right through. It is in Uduasha city they dwell. Now, the ghost field breathes next to our reality, lit by the eternal flame of the well of Udu. It is a second skin, a place where thought and will struggle against gravity and light. In other places, the dead congregate in the ghost field, but in Uduasha, the well city, the hell city, they fall straight into the flames. See its glittering districts: Kshitijpur, where the rich plot to buy the horizon; Bunda West, where the refugees of 2 different nations flock; and Pasarhandu, the vertical maze of market and murder. And here is Udepat, where the ceaseless temple resides. Its inhabitants, a family, a snake, and a god. The temple has stood since before the gods of this world were forgotten. Watch as it turns the wheels of revolution. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about people who take risks so they can survive against the odds.
Well, hi. Welcome back to Desperate Attune and our current campaign of Blades in the Dark, called A Candle Ablaze, set in the city of Uduasha. I'm Tree, or Soumithri. I'm your GM, and I will be running this game for you today.
My name is Emma. I am playing Joan, a retired ghost fighter, and I use she/her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Klow. In real life, my name is Zoheb, and I'm a he/him, and I'm playing Miraz Chakraborty, the crew's leech, who is an engineer turned cult leader.
I'm Prince, he/him. I play Vickers, a roof baller and Miraz's wife.
I'm Soap. I play Abbas, the religious scholar, and pain in Miraz's side. And my pronouns are he and him.
Oh, I actually forgot my pronouns, which are all of them. I really don't care.
Hello everyone, this is Prince with a recap of last week's episode. Last week we saw some very exciting statistics as Miraz and Joan went about the districts of Uduasha to try and make a pie chart of people's opinions on the future of the temple. And doing this they ran into the head of the Chandlers Guild and ended up in a bit of a conflict because it turns out our snake deity ate one of their golems. And well, now Miraz has become responsible for a Chandler's apprentice. Besides this, we also saw the roofball team celebrate their victory, and Vickers finally get some pointers on cooking. That is where we left off, as the crew ponder their next move.
So we have one downtime action from Joan and one from Miraz left, right?
Yeah, free ones, unless someone wants to do more.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I should go indulge vice.
Mhm.
So I'm going to just make that roll, and then we can fill in the details. Okay, I had 5 stress, and I rolled a 3, so I cleared 3 stress, and I have 2 left. Okay, so my vice is the foundation.
In fact, the Fawzia Ansarek also hangs out in Golem Pit. So it's entirely possible that after the scene, you can just go and see her.
Yes, exactly. So the foundation is, let's just give a little bit backstory for the listeners, I mean. The foundation is a faction from Blades in the Dark, like from John Harper's original manual. And they're basically the Freemasons. That's basically what they're. There's very little about them. They're one of the factions that's kind of just, they've got a paragraph devoted to them, not like a full spread. But I like the idea of the foundation kind of like radiating outwards all over the empire. So here in Uduasha, the foundation also has a foothold. It is not a particularly big chapter house. I think the foundation here is what, a tier 1 gang, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah. So the foundation is basically like people like Miraz. a lot of people who went to Dazval and probably like got into the foundation there, and they kind of like brought it back over to Uduasha. There's a few people who kind of like got locally recruited who are interested in like, I don't know, the history of Uduasha, yes, but also the future, kind of like advancing not like the cause of imperialism as such, but like, or at least that's not the motivation, right? The idea is to like develop Uduasha to kind of like, safeguard civilization, build better machines and all that. All of this, of course, plays right into the imperial hand. So they're all like imperial sympathizers in some way or other. I think most of them, like Miraz. So yeah, and we haven't seen them on screen as such. So let's have a look. So they meet in there's a place in Golampit. It's called the Playful Turtle.
Okay.
So my idea had been that so all the steamworks and so on that come pumping out of the Udu, the big spirit well, the fire and all that, it kind of pumps the industry in Golampit, like steam power. But what else is steam good for? It's good for hammams, it's good for saunas, it's good for baths and so on. So Golampit is also the luxury bathhouse district, not just the industrial district.
Yes.
And the Playful Turtle is the city's oldest sauna, hammam, and restaurant that has only recently, and unpopularly, relaxed its Iruvians only policy. The Turtle has a long history as a place for Uduasha's learned to convene and discuss over a kebab and a massage. Currently popular among self-described cosmopolitan and forward-thinking types. So, the Foundation are definitely self-described cosmopolitan and forward-thinking types.
In fact, some of them may even be considering getting a tattoo in Iruvian, of course, in Hadrathi on the forearm that says cosmopolitan and forward-thinking.
Or a little turtle.
A little turtle, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm meeting them. I'm meeting my vice purveyor, Fauzi Ansarek, who kind of heads the local chapter house, and I guess we're just having a normal meeting.
I think Fawzia is a very old woman. I think she must be in her early 20s. Is that what we discussed?
Her descriptors are beautiful, manic, depressive, callous.
I think you have caught her today in one of her manic phases. Because she is currently working on a sketch of what appears to be. It's hard to make out at first until you realize that the perspective is looking from like above Uduasha down, and you see that what she wants to do apparently is build some kind of structure that will unite all 5 of the great towers of Uduasha that rise into the sky and make it into one single overarching structure. How such a thing might work is anybody's guess. But in fact, when you catch her, she is already done with the broad details, and she appears to be working on some calculation for how strong this metal might need to be in order to theoretically succeed at this. She will look up and she will say, what does she call you? Mimi, how are you doing?
Wondering what you're doing. I thought, didn't they tell you not to make any more schematics drawing in the sauna? He says, as he kind of like inserts, what do you call the sticks that the kebabs go on?
Skewers?
Yes, skewers, the word, yes. As he takes a skewer of kebab and then he kind of like puts it on the coals of the sauna, and like hot meat juice kind of like sprays out and infuses the sauna room with the traditional kebab smell that everyone loves in the Playful Turtle. And he kind of like looks at the drawing, which is already like disintegrating before our eyes. And then he kind of shakes his head and says, I think you'd get so much more done if you didn't try to draw inside the sauna.
Briefly out of character, when we said combination sauna, hammam, and restaurant, it's all in one. I figured it had 3 different parts. That's not the case, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing in Finland to grill sausages on the sauna coals, I think.
I learn something new every day. Fantastic. Okay. Now I can.
I'm sure there's a separate restaurant as well, but why wouldn't you do it all at the same time if you could?
I don't know. Okay.
Akaros is having soggy kebabs.
I think she looks at you and says, I get my best ideas in here. It's just the pressure. If you're not under pressure, if you're not feeling the heat, then you can't do any work. That's always been the way. And like, she doesn't appear to be paying any mind to the fact that it's disintegrating. She's already started on a new sheet.
And Miraz kind of like leans back against the boards of the sauna and kind of gives an exhalation. The boards are made of petrified wood, by the way. Kind of leans back, gives an exhalation, and says, "Oh, don't talk to me about pressure. The things that have been happening. This temple, this goddamn temple. I don't know why I came back. Now we have to figure out how to make some changes and do this and that, but like not too much and not too fast, one day at a time. And the snake wants us to make changes, and Uncle Abbas doesn't want us to make changes, and Megum Bushundara wants to build a shopping mall, and I got chandlers up my ass. I don't know what to do. I mean, Fawzia, you've been around the temple. What do you think it needs? Do you think an escalator is a good idea?
Escalator. What kind of power do you think it would run on? Like, getting electroplasm in there would be very tricky, but an interesting challenge. Maybe you could have a couple of canisters hidden away underneath and just refill them maybe once every 2 hours. Not more than that, I don't think. What could work?
You could get a giant hamster wheel for the snake.
Oh, a snake wheel. Now there's an idea. People could pay to come see it. Maybe it could generate the power for the escalator. Now there's an idea.
Yes, an idea that could probably get us all killed and sent back in time and killed again. And I've heard of such things that the snake does.
Don't worry too much. What's this I hear about Mandrak's cousin being drafted into this remodeling? I thought we agreed if you needed noble help, I'm absolutely here for you.
Oh, right. There's one of those on the. Honestly, I have no idea what happened. I wasn't even there. I was being threatened at knife point by my sister-in-law. But now that you mention it, Fawzia, you know what? I think you should be on that committee. I can't think of anyone better than you to be on that committee with us.
Oh, thanks. I can't either.
All right. The committee is meeting at. He kind of like gazes up in the sky, trying to remember when the committee is supposed to meet, and then he realizes that as the priest of the temple of the ceaseless temple, he can decide when the committee is supposed to meet. And then he says, "The committee is meeting on Thursday."
Thursday. I'll have to move some stuff around, but yeah, Thursday can work. Will we be meeting in the temple?
I can't think of anywhere better.
We could meet in here.
And then he kind of like looks around and says, "I don't think I want to see some of them in just a towel."
Fine. So, in that case, Thursday, temple, send me the details. That's totally fine. And tell me, what do you think about electroplasmic concrete as an idea? I think like she's just like moved on to the next thing, right? Like this is
Yeah.
Time to discuss what's very important.
Yeah. So I don't think Miraz gets to properly relax as he wants to, which is why it's just a 3.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was a good short scene.
That was fun. I liked being her. And I think it was nice to see someone who like absolutely gets Miraz in that way. Is just like, yep, you are absolutely right. I can't believe this is happening to you, by the way. Like it was just very like that was very fun.
At least someone loves me.
I mean, Vickers loves you, and also if she ever thought that Fawzia had any kind of designs on you, which she doesn't, Fawzia would be very immediately dead.
Yeah, there are no issues here.
Yeah, very good.
We're all good. Yeah, that was my downtime.
And how about Joan?
So, I think there is a moment where Miraz and Joan separate in Golem as Miraz goes to this interesting combination of establishments, and Joan has every intention to go back home to the temple. But we've established that there are a lot of these golems around, like they're pointing at them at least.
Golem, they're a pretty common sight.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Joan is extremely uncomfortable around them. Like we have to imagine that there's just a lot of scenes in her head now of standing on top of the train and of these like kind of wailing spirits and remnants of people stuck in the railway lines, probably like electroplasmically convulsing and wailing and screaming. And she moved away from that to this city, and then finds that there are creatures that are basically ghost chimeras walking around. So, against all better judgment, I think we see how she starts to follow one, or maybe multiple, tries to observe them. And I'm going to establish a clock. It's a very vague clock, a long-term project. It's basically the status quo is that Joan is very uncomfortable around these beings, but doesn't really know what to do with or about that. And once the clock fills, that will change.
Okay. Yeah. And as you're following these golems around, do you think there's any like specific kind of, because like golems do all kinds of things. Some are industrial, some very rich people can afford like personal ones. Some of them are more like public transport, right? Like the government uses them to like just get things done, right? Like, so there's all manner of use for them. Is there any specific kind that one is drawn to?
I think it starts with public transport golem, because that one is like, they're public, they're the most easy to observe. But I think it's very possible that if some like noble golems pass by, that she will change there simply because it's more interesting narratively.
Yeah, absolutely. And these golems are much more personalized, right? I think it's not the case that any of these golems are mass produced in the industrial way that we're imagining, but certainly the golems that a noble might buy or have commissioned are very specific to their particular needs, right? I think that let's introduce like a fun person, even if we only see them for a second. So let's say that in fact you happen to but you observe at a distance the head of House Anixis. Oh yeah, this makes perfect sense actually. This is Arasu Anixis, who is more than, like, probably older than Mohammed. He seems to be like 110 years old. Very rarely seen in public without the golem that accompanies him, which is of a height with him, and basically kind of acts as a combination butler, mobility aid, and I think like you suspect that it also records in some fashion everything that happens around him. So probably also a spy. He's just out for. He's probably going to a different sauna, and you see him walking out, and he's very normally this kind of noble would be guarded by bodyguards or something of the sort. In this case, it's just this old man and the golem that is walking around with him.
Interesting. So I think the role here, the point of the Downtime project, is that, like, I guess one of the first questions that comes up in her mind that she's working with as she's watching these beings is how much of the ghostly horrors that she has seen when a ghost is released, how much of that remains when they're processed, I guess, like this. And it will be an Attune role, specifically because it has the tag of understanding spectrally. The rarely used tag.
One of the things that I want to understand as you roll this is, for people who are familiar with the base setting, which is Duskwall, when you attune in Duskwall, right, like there's always some fucked up shit going on in the ghost field because of the way that Duskwall works. But we know that in Uduasha, the ever-burning flame kind of, because it burns all the ghosts away, leaves the ghost field very tranquil. Right? And it's therefore a very different environment. I'm curious, as you attune to this, what does this look like to Joan? Like, how does she change the way that she normally acts in order to make this work in Uduasha?
May I ask another question that might complicate that?
Mm-hmm.
So here, no ghosts, right? Or barely any, maybe just a few glimmers in the distance. But so many demons and gods and so on, like, right? Like
Yeah, absolutely.
the paranormal hasn't vanished. So is that what attuning here then is? Like maybe it's still dangerous, right?
I think it's probably like the same reality. It's just filled with different influences here. It may not even be appropriate to call it the ghost.
Yeah. I think to some extent, there are some very powerful demons who exert a very an all-encompassing influence. And so it is not, I think part of the reason that that it is quote unquote tranquil is that people know that any ripple will be noticed by someone far beyond them in power, or it might be noticed by them, not it will be. So that's something to kind of like think about and keep in mind.
So I think adding to that, I think to an unbiased observer, the ghost field might in contrast appear tranquil, but I think to Joan it never does. Because opening herself to the ghost field has so many connotations from her past. Mm-hmm. And she's always expecting something bad to happen. So it's always kind of a dreaded moment. And she still always kind of tenses up. And afterwards probably feels like something bad did happen or must have happened, even if it didn't.
Sense? So yeah, you can roll your attune, which is 2 dice.
Mm-hmm. I will.
Like, of course, classic devil's bargain here is that this golem specifically is recording everything around you, and it might notice you trying to understand it.
I'll definitely take that.
Excellent, very good.
Attune, 2 dice, or 3 dice, because 1 bonus die. Devil's bargain taken, and the road is a 6.
I think on a 6, you tell me. What does it seem like?
I think she expected to see basically just a clump of ghosts, right? Or to feel a clump of ghosts. But basically a clump of ghosts in a shell that allows them to not be burned away. But still in their like kind of constant whirlwind of rage and grief that she finds so difficult to see, to look at. But I think the thing that touches her the most is that though she's not exactly sure what this is yet, it's not the kind of ghost she recognizes in any way.
I think that like one of the most obvious ways that this is made clear to you is that if you in a different part of the world attuned in this way to a ghostly being and it noticed you, it would come for you. That is the experience that you've always had, right? That if you poke something like this, it won't poke you back, it will try and eat you. Whereas in this case,
right,
I think you do know that like it has noticed you. And instead, this golem, which I'm kind of imagining as humanoid in that it's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and a torso, but its head is not a human head. Rather, it is the head of the mascot of House Anixis, which is...
Thanks. Anixis is personified by a snake.
Oh, excellent. So cool. So good. Very good. Yeah. This snake head, like a hooded cobra, nearly turns to one side, seems to utter something to Lord Anixis, and they begin to move away from you very quickly. Like you can see that like Alisu is being told that like you're being observed or I'm being observed in some way, and they immediately like make a beeline. They want to get away from you. It's not like one poked me time, like, it's murder and grief time. It is a much more rational and calm response, which is very odd.
All right. And I think kind of taken aback for a moment, for a minute probably, actually, she just stands there and then shakes herself and returns home. We should probably make this into a clock. I don't know how many things to give.
I guess it's about how big you think this change will be. But I think 6 seems reasonable, right? Like 6 is good for now. Just to note both to the players and the audience that the backstory of House Anixis, which is the house of like creepy spies and deception and so on, is that nobody's really sure whether Arasu, who is the lord of Anixis, is really him, whether it is all some kind of like huge ploy. That's why he's lived so long. It's really not clear. And perhaps this golem is also part of that. Perhaps it's just that it's a really badass golem, and
Interesting. I have a question if I can take. If we're done with
we
downtime.
are done with downtime. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a scene in mind if no one else does, and it involves, I think, Abbas as well.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because I am going to go see one of my contacts about this dealing with the Hive project, and I think Abbas makes sense to bring. So let me introduce my contact here. There is a gang. They live in Pasar Hantu, or that's where their base is. They are called the Bone Shakers. They are gamblers. They run various rings of gambling and loan sharking. They specialize in lending people money that they then lose on various vices and then being shaken down for it. Hence the Bone Shakers.
Also because rolling dice is a gambling. Yeah, absolutely.
And they are currently led by a man named Imran Pasha, who is described as conservative, jovial, and rural. And Imran Pasha comes from the desert tribes around Uduasha. He is not a native to the city. Many of them are from a field, rural or foreigners or whatnot. And the reason he's my contact is that he bet on my team. And he has just won big in our last match, where he, where the odds were probably very good. And so I'm going to see this man about dealing with the Hive problem, because he is a gentleman who might be able to do something about that. And I think it makes sense to bring Abbas, because, Abbas is... Maybe he doesn't know this man personally, but he's certainly well tied into... Like, he knows things about the rural peoples, probably. I'm thinking, anyway.
I think the Bone Shakers own a casino, or is it more interesting for them to be based somewhere else? I think that they don't own a casino, but they operate next to a casino that they basically run. Their official kind of office is, in fact, in Pasar Hantu. It is a place for people to buy like gear for their horses and camels and so on. Because the official story is that Imran Pasha is just a humble trader in, cavalry goods.
Makes perfect sense. I think, by the way, I'm bringing some of my team. I'm coming there in my role as a roofball captain. It just makes sense, in my role as an athlete. So I will have like a cane, this like crazy uniform with wings on it, the hat, everything. And some people with me. And also Abbas. And we will step into this shop to see. We probably arranged a meeting beforehand, but to see Pasha. Yeah, to clarify, he's a contact. He kind of likes me. He's not like my good friend or anything. He's my contact because I make him money. So that's as far as our relationship goes. But that's a good enough basis to start from.
And like, it not only will it get you in the door, the fact that like you are not the favorites to win and you won will get you, some consideration as well, right? So as you enter Imran's, like one of the people manning like the front desk kind of like spots you and says, Imran's waiting for you, and just like kind of directs you to what from the outside looks like a shabby back office, but when you go in is actually like quite comfortable. It's like a bed lived in. And Imran is smoking a hookah along with his second in command, whose name is Candace. No, sorry, it's Calypso. I think Calypso is she's not from Uduasha either, right?
No.
Let's say she's actually Severosi. I think we haven't had many Severosi people, and like this again like ties into the fact that Severosi are also well known for horse riding.
Yeah, the Bone Shakers thing is they tend to recruit from like rural, naive people who don't know the city very well, but are like physically big and strong. So that's kind of the vibe they usually attract.
So I think she's kind of sprawled over a couch, herself smoking something probably much stronger than the hookah that Imran is smoking. And as you enter, Imran says, come, sit, and offers you like a drag. He's got some like snacks out, right? Like fried things of various stripe and color.
Yeah, I think Vickers will refuse the smoke, but she will accept the snacks, politely dodging this with, "Oh no, I must mind my health. You know, my doctor says I'm a terrible risk of getting a lung problem."
Oh, you know, it's good for the lungs, yeah. Okay, fine. And I don't know if I don't think he's ever met Abbas before, right?
No, I will introduce him. So I will turn towards Imran and say, "Oh, by the way, I brought along my husband's uncle. This is Abbas Shafi al-Din Chakraborty." I will introduce Imran back to you.
Yeah. What do you think is the proper, like, the polite way of greeting someone? Like, it is a handshake. I don't know. I guess.
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it might be different outside the city as well, which Abbas might know. So I think you can like probably impress this guy by greeting him in some traditional countryside way, which you might actually know.
Does Abbas know their gang their secret handshake?
There is like it's not like when you meet someone very properly, and like, for example, in Telugu, you might say namaskaram, which is like okay, yeah, I get it, we're being formal. More like a yo, right? Which is like a way to suggest that, like, we can be casual with each other, but also I know I'm familiar with what kind of person you are.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe something like what I would think of in Telugu basically translates to like what's the situation, right? Like, what's up?
Yeah. Or what Zoheb and I say to each other, which is just "G'day."
Absolutely. Right. Exactly that. When you say it, I think you see a smile on Imran's face, because it's not very often he gets to meet someone new who responds like this. And he says, Sid, you'll definitely have some hookah, right? I have this delicious apple flavor. Give me 1 second. Just in from Severus,
Yeah, I think Abbas will take him up on the offer. I think Abbas is a kind of person who'd be like, oh, it's really bad for me. I shouldn't do it. But oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's like Haddock saying, just a thimbleful. And
Just oh, I think I was just, just maybe one half. Why not?
Yeah. I think there will be some amount of small talk. Like, I think Vickers is polite enough not to go straight to like business. So there will be some conversation about like the match, and Abbas says, he used to play, and oh, did you see he was in the match and did this amazing like triple agent play?
And he'll also warm to Abbas because Abbas appears to have made him a lot of money as well.
And then I will bring up at some point. Of course, I'll say like, oh, but you do know there was a saboteur who infiltrated my team. I don't know if you caught that in all the hubbub. I don't know if you personally were in the audience, but one Mr. Morosim, are you familiar with him?
Let's see whether he is. I'm just going to 2 dice here. There is a chance he knows, there's a chance he doesn't know. It's a 4. I think he heard about it after the fact. And I think he will say, I'd heard that someone inserted players into your team, but it doesn't seem like it's done you any harm, does it?
Oh, no, it was quite easy to deal with between my team, myself, and Uncle Abbas's assistants. However, it does seem like Mr. Morosim and his employers are somewhat of a sore loser. Do you know they've actually uttered threats against our temple? Could you believe that sort of thing?
Oh, terrible business. Think they could carry them out? Sometimes people just say things. They'll say things like, "Yeah, we'll come after you, we'll murder you," but it turns out they're just going to go home and go to bed.
Oh, well, he works for this organization. Perhaps you've heard of them, the Hive. She says as she reaches for a snack.
I think, like, when you say the name, like, I mean, he may not know Morosim personally, but he knows the Hive, right? He says, 1 second, and then like takes a long drink of water and says, the Hive is sabotaging your roofball game?
Well, evidently so. And more to the point, my friend, they've been lending my husband money, she says, with a look of like, loaning people money and being a loan shark is like your turf.
Yeah.
Like,
I think like there's two reactions he's having. The first is, I beg your pardon, if you needed money, you could have come to me. Why didn't you? And secondly, someone else is loaning money to you without telling me, right? Like both of them are kind of.
Yeah.
And he says, wait, I've heard about trying to muscle me out of the money business, aren't they? Oh, one of these hive people came around, a couple of months ago. Wanted just to like they said they would buy me out. They said they would pay me a handsome sum of money, and then I could just like hand over my business to them, and then they could run it, and I could just retire. Can you believe that? Retire? Me, Imran Pasha.
Abbas, I think Abbas just shaking his head is like, now, don't get me wrong, like, this is not, I'm not okay with this kind of thing, but I'd rather deal with a person like you than Hive, where they're coming from. They're trying to buy me out as well, they're trying to buy out my temple. It's like these Akarosi, they're everywhere, they're everywhere you go.
These
It's
Akarosi,
ridiculous.
I think Imran just looks at Vickers like, what? Like,
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she will take some slight offense to it, but it's clear from context what you mean, right? It's like Akarosi businnesmen and or criminals.
It's also funnier
of which-
because the hive is from the Dagger Isles.
Yeah. Well, they're foreigners. That much is. Which, not that the Bone Shakers are opposed to foreigners
indeed,
as such, but
they're opposed to foreigners who have no class. I think Imran says, look, they made me this offer and I rejected them, and I figured that would be that, like you make an offer, I tell you to fuck off. Now, if they want to commit some violence, let me tell you. And I think like when he says commit some violence, immediately Calypso's like, yes, is it right?
Yeah.
And then like realizes, no, this is just all theoretical, right? And he says, well, that's one thing, right? Like we can just sort it out. But this kind of underhanded, like going around, it doesn't sit well with me at all. I think it's time we teach them what Iruvians really do when we put our minds to it.
I thought so as well. Vickers says and leans forwards, and I think we can zoom out here and have discuss with the group. But I think what's happening here is that Vickers, Abbas, and Imran will come up with a plan to stop the hive from fucking us over.
Yeah.
Right? We can discuss out of character precisely what the plan is, but we will see this montage of Imran, Abbas, and Vickers having this discussion in the smoky room.
And like I think in the montage we see, like more food being brought in, some like heated words, and at the end of the day, like maybe you do you shake hands? Maybe you shake hands. I just like the idea of like all of you like shaking hands. Yes, okay, we are agreed now.
Yeah, and so I have a couple of ideas for what this sort of plan could be, but I think a sort of logical one is that we do some sort of score that only serves to distract the hive while the Bone Shakers hit like the main target. That makes sense to me because they're the trained, professional criminals, and we are not. But I would like to hear input from the whole crew here because it's just more fun when you come up with like what's our next score together.
Because whatever you do, your sister's gonna turn up. So
yeah, obviously, since she's in league with the hive now, I don't think I can avoid it. But my basic idea is that we go confront Morosim on like his turf, so we like barge in and just like take him, just chew him out, just like shout him down and cause like basically a scene, and then the hive comes for us, and then they leave their backs open so that the Bone Shakers can rush in. And then we like try to get the fuck out. I don't think we try to defeat the hive thugs that come after us. We're just like, the score is just to draw them away, basically, and like trick them.
Remind me, like Morosim, like when he lent Miraz money, he was acting on his own, right? Like, was he?
He kind of was, but we
he
sort of omitted that part from
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this
So I
conversation.
wonder. I know. I wonder maybe if the higher ups in the hive might not be so pleased with Morosim taking the initiative to do this, right? Because so I wonder if there's some way to cause some internal disputes to weaken them.
Oh, that's another interesting angle. Yeah, we could
Yeah.
like do a more subtle score to like frame
Yeah.
Morosim
Yeah.
for their troubles. Like maybe we frame Morosim as having sold them out to the Bone Shakers.
I will flag
Ah.
that probably the way that I've been thinking of what Elizabeth has been doing is that she's actually thrown Morosim under the bus to some extent as a way to like get in, right? Like she's basically gone up to his boss,
Yeah.
V. Paihard, and gone, this dude's incompetent. I had to come and save you. And like she's kind of made nice using that. So I just flagging that like blaming more things on Morosim is in one way like very convincing because they are primed to believe it, but in another way not very convincing because they have also punished him to some extent for those.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe what we can do is we can split among them on a higher level, right? Whoever, like, if we can go, okay, Morosim's superior is also incompetent, then we're moving our way up the chain. Then we have like 2 lieutenants of the leader at odds with each other, right? I think this could be an interesting potential score. And my sort of angle is, if we succeed with this, then if we do like a frame job and cause internal divisions between them, then I guess we get rid of our wanted level.
It probably won't surprise you that if you cause trouble for the hive, that the people who are at war with the hive are primed to take advantage of that. We know, the crew doesn't know this. We as players know that there's definitely at least 2 factions who would be very happy if you interfered with the hive's operations.
Yeah. So yeah, like Vickers' motivation is just to protect the temple here and like get them off our back. But having some sort of like skullduggery in which they start fighting internally, I think is a very interesting angle to take it in, and makes sense for our characters. Again, we're not outright hardened criminals yet, but I think we're capable of sowing.
And this is how it works, right? Like you do the first thing, you find out it didn't go so badly, even though it basically did, and you do the second thing, and so yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this.
Are you interested in this angle, Emma?
Basically, yeah.
Frame job, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to like.
Yeah, I think the problem that I'm having is that I don't find Morosim very interesting. Like, he's just kind of like he's just, kind of a butt of the joke kind of guy.
So maybe we target his superior, then we make up a more interesting NPC who's in charge of Morosim, and that's our target.
Yeah.
Another thing that I was thinking is that, okay, so the hive are running like there's like 2 angles that are problematic for us with the hive, right? There's Morosim himself, who has a grudge, but he's also kind of ineffectual, so it's not that big a deal. But this has also gotten Begum Bushandhara to kind of like go after us. And of course, we're going to deal with Begum Bushandhara in our own way, but Begum Bushandhara is being empowered by hive money. I don't remember if we figured that out in character or not.
I don't think so.
Okay. Because one thing that I think could be interesting is if we could somehow, get rid of the Morosim problem and also kind of like reduce like the hive's backing for Begum Bushandhara so that we can deal with Begum Bushandhara in the renovation committee.
Yeah, I think some sort of lieutenant makes perfect sense then. Like there's someone who both hired Morosim and who is paying off Bashundhara and who is like, no, come on guys, this is a great plan, this is a great idea.
Yes.
And has convinced the hive that like, no, I'm very smart. And then we make that person look not very smart and have them fired.
Yeah, we have an NPC, V by her.
It makes sense to me that this is the person, because we've mentioned her a couple of times, and
okay, I thought she was in charge of the whole organization here, but no.
She's not in charge of the hive.
Okay.
Probably, she's like, she works for the right-hand person of the person in charge of the entire operation. Kind of how I'm envisioning it.
Yeah, like, whom we don't know.
Important enough to kind of be running a small-scale operation. Not so important that like if she died tomorrow, the hive itself would be in jeopardy.
Yeah. Then I think in order to keep the story rolling here, I think it's interesting if we do some research off screen and we find out that like she is the cause of our problems. and then we set up a plan to deal with. Maybe in fact Imran knows this. Maybe he's aware of like, oh yes, this rising star
yeah.
among them who's been bribing a
I
bunch of
realized
people.
that I thought this in my mind that I didn't say it out loud, which is the person who made him that offer in Pasar Hantu, which he was offended by, was V.
V. Yeah, okay. So then I think it makes sense that this is how we learn about V and be like, okay, she is the source of our troubles and she is the reason why the hive is coming after us. And if we deal with her, we won't have a problem anymore. Well, we'll have a lot of other problems, but we won't have a hive problem.
So, like, one way that we could deal with both her support of Bashundara and also discredit her a little bit, or a lot perhaps, make her seem incompetent, I mean, is if these guys that you've been talking with steal a payment that was going to be given to Bashundara and re-launder it.
Oh, yeah. Break down the connection between Bashundara and V. Yeah, that makes sense. If there's like some big bribe coming in, like I'm giving you, I don't know, the deed to a house or a racing horse or some big thing like that.
I think also narrative, it's a good way to connect us to criminal schools without us being like, while we're still remaining kind of like civilians just until not happening.
Yeah, I like it, because then we're not stealing, we're like preventing a bribe that is against the interests of the temple.
It's definitely still going to get you in massive trouble with everybody.
Oh, yeah. But I like this
sorry,
idea, interfering in the bribery. That's a very cool angle.
I have an idea for how we can start this.
Hmm?
Let's kidnap Morosim
Uh-huh.
and pump him for information.
All right.
Okay, is that a score, or is that just like a thing we do to prepare for the score?
Is kidnapping Morosim a score in and of itself? Like, it's not, risk-free.
The risk here is that people will know he's been kidnapped, and if you go about it unwisely, that people will know he's been kidnapped by you. This is right now not even important enough for the two enforcers who are meant to be loyal to him to actually be,
Yeah.
keeping him safe.
So we can probably kidnap him without the need for a score. We can pump him for information, and then we can use that to do the real deal.
And maybe we can convert him to our side.
Yeah, we can convert it to us. Another thing I really like about stealing the bribe meant for Bashundara is that kind of makes it a donation to the temple. If you squint, they're giving money for the redevelopment of the temple. They're just doing it via Bashundara, so we're just kind of skipping a step.
Obviously, that is how we launder it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a donation.
Okay, so obviously the way to know how we need to kidnap Morosim. Well, we need to talk to Morosim, and if that turns into a kidnap, then that's just what happens, right? We need to know what he knows.
Yep.
So, mini score to kidnap Morosim.
Okay, so Morosim at the moment actually is persona non grata in Pasar Hantu, which is why he normally hangs out, because that's where V Paihard's operation is. V's made it clear to him that he better stay out of her way until like her mood improves, because he's really done fucked up. So I think that he is in fact back. He's hanging around wherever he lives. I don't think he lives in Golempith, and I don't think he lives in Udaipur, because he's not rich enough. Let's look at the map. Let's see where he might be living.
Gilly Gully.
Mining district, maybe.
Ash Cloister. There's a lot of like low wealth maps. So low wealth districts.
I think he's somewhere in Gili Gully, which is the bread basket. It's where most of Iruvia's food production comes from. It's next to the river that spans Uduasha, which is Dilkusha. I think he is, he mostly spends his time bouncing around, one watering hole to the next, just getting drunk, like yelling at people, hanging out with his friends. It's very clear that like he doesn't at the moment have a job or an income. In the hive, they don't put you on, suspension with pay.
What's our play? Do we approach him and try to talk to him first, or do we just straight up kidnap him?
I think like in character, Abbas would be more in like not really supportive of a straight up kidnap.
No, no.
So,
Abbas can persuade him. You just give him some good advice for the future and convert him to our side.
Listen, we've been trying to talk to Morosim for a while. He's been an asshole about it, but let's just go up to him. What's he gonna do? Shoot us?
Yeah. Absolutely.
He did try and stab me last time
Uh-huh.
you spoke to him, but yes,
Yeah.
mhm.
I like the idea of Abbas just lecturing to him, and that's our plan A. Like, he will
Yeah.
surely listen to our
yeah.
great spiritual teacher's wise words.
I'm going to come with Abbas.
So,
Very good.
Because
We're
you
just,
never know what this Morosim fellow is going to do next.
Yeah, you really don't. I think Morosim, when you find him, is stumbling out, not because he's been kicked out necessarily. I don't think this kind of place cares about the level of drunkenness he's at for sure. But he's like drunk and he's stumbling out of one of any number of hole in the wall drinking and eating type places in Gili Gili Gully. It's very dark down here, right? Like that kind of big underground caverns. And wherever, like the street that you're on is not super well lit. He's trying to find his way home, but in order for him to do that, he would have to know where he is. So it's going to take him a bit. Mostly just like looking around, being like, this way or that way or other way. It's not clear.
So I nudge Abbas and I point at Morosim and I say, listen, I keep saying, if they hire people like that, these hive people can't be all that.
Miraz, I always say to you, try to be patient. Try to observe before you act. Okay, we'll talk to this man, If he knows nothing, he knows nothing. But we see what we can learn. Maybe puts us in a better position. And I think Buzz just saunters up to him in with a very concerned look on his face, and just goes up to Morris and is like, brother, are you feeling okay? You seem like you're a bit lost.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm fine. I just need to go home. It's fine.
No, brother.
It's just
You seem like you're lost in life.
no, I'm not. I'm not lost. Like I just need to go home. It's just that way.
Bye to Moshi Darshan.
No, see so many young men like you in this town who are searching for their purpose, unable to find it. I know who you are, and I know what you've been up to. Morosim,
What do you mean?
I know that you've been trying to maybe find your way in this world. You've lent money to my nephew, and this all these underhanded schemes you're trying to do. Maybe there's a better way for you to find a purpose for yourself.
Wait. You're Rakesh's uncle?
Rakesh.
No, you fucking idiot. Here's my
Yeah.
uncle. I say behind him.
Yeah, I think he spots you. He says, "You ruined my life."
More if you don't listen to him and I wave the spanner at his face. You remember this?
He's gonna back up because he does remember it, and he's a bit like, "Oh shit!" Cannot do anything with it here. There are no. It's not. This is not like an industrial kind of place, but he doesn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Please forgive my nephew. He's a bit impulsive, as you can see. He's getting a bit excited, but I just want
your nuts.
Miraz, please. Please, Miraz. What I say, I'm coming to you for not just look. I'm not coming to you as just Miraz's uncle here for retribution, anything like that. I just, I came to talk to you, and now I see you like this. Honestly, it does make me a little sad about the future of the city, and I just want you to know.
Just leave me alone.
Look, Morosim, I understand what you're going through. Right now it seems like you have no way forward. It seems like you're just falling down and down and down. But, brother, you can always change your life. If you live your life for other people, for your community, then you will find that all these problems that you're facing, they also go away.
No, it's because of you I'm in this trouble. He kicked me out of the hive, and then Ami won't even let me come home, and Now I don't even have any money, and it's all your fault. And I think this is where you should probably roll to try and convince him that it is not, in fact, all your fault.
all right. I'll converse and then I'll roll. Like, brother, it is easy to blame others and never to see the fault in yourself. You know, the biggest struggle,
Morosim,
Morosim.
there's plenty of fault in you.
Miraz, please. Morosim, the biggest struggle in life is a struggle against yourself. You understand? Once you understand this, you will find that your life is improving. All right, let's roll.
Listen to what he's saying.
Morosim,
Really?
you better if the sooner you listen to him, the sooner he stops talking.
It worked for me. She says with like, Joan says with like a kind of sincerity that's very unfitting for the situation, perhaps.
Mhm. Cool.
Very different.
And I'm gonna assist.
All right, okay. What are we? Just risky standard and.
I mean, yeah, risky standard.
All right, I've got an assist. I don't know if what Miraz is doing counts as an assist or an
But
impediment.
Jones assisting you, which is good because
Yeah,
I
you
think
won bonus die.
No.
Yeah,
That
Miraz
is
is doing the opposite of assisting you.
just a little joke.
Mhm.
All right, let's see.
Miraz is giving you a minus.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I think that sometimes drunk people really like understand what you're going for, and like they cut straight to the heart of it. Right?
Yeah.
I think like Morosim in maybe like one of the first times he has ever displayed both self-awareness and clarity says, if I'm to blame for this, then Miraz, I didn't make him take that loan. He took that loan from me. What about my money? He can't blame me for that. I think like you can see him like tottering and being like, oh, you're right. I do have to take responsibility. I have to own up. I'm not gonna do it until he does it.
So he wants his money back. That's the consequence.
He wants his money back, but he also wants Miraz to say the words, "You're right and I'm wrong," which that's not how any of this works, but like to him, that's how it seems, right? Like he both wants the money and the validation.
To resist this. And the way I resist it is that I go, well, you gave it to me, and I kept it, and you were going to kidnap me and like beat me up and like kidnap the Scotlanders and so on. So as far as I'm concerned, Morosim, the money is finders keepers. Na.
Okay.
That's your resistance? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
To me, like a resolve roll.
Wow. I mean, it'll.
Mhm.
It costs no stress at all. I'm
Yeah.
very
Uh-huh.
relaxed.
Well, okay. I think
Must be
rationally, go on.
very cathartic, actually. I can totally see why it doesn't cost any stress.
Yeah. I think if this doesn't resist the consequence fully, I want to help absorb the shock of the consequence here by actually spending a coin. I don't think Vickers is in the scene, by the way, because he's terrified of me. So I don't think I'm actually here.
I'm happy to like pass him on as one stash or something.
No, I have a coin lying about, so I will pay for it. But the angle here is not that we just give him a coin in this situation, right? It's that he has to hide away from the hive. Like he understands that they will come for his ass if he sides with us. So I'm giving him a coin in the sense that I think Vickers, meanwhile, while this is happening, has been setting up lodgings in some part of the city where he can be safe. And we have that we can offer him.
Okay.
Okay. I think the effect, by the way, of finders keepers is that you have broken this poor man's resolve.
Okay. I think Abbas can maybe sell this a little better by saying, "Oh no,
Hope you understand.
Hmm?
This is a good cop, bad cop routine.
Yes. Yeah. Abbas goes, the money, Morosim, if I just give it back to you, how would you learn a lesson? But I can't offer you money, but I can offer you maybe something even better. Okay? Come to the temple with us. safe haven for you, steady job. What could be better than that?
He looks at you and says, "Paul, no, that woman, Eliza, she was gonna. You can't take me back to the temple. Eliza's gonna. And like, I don't think he remembers what Eliza is going to, but that was definitely something. That he's like, no, that's the reason I can't go back to the temple.
Morosim, do you remember my niece Vickers?
That's Eliza's sister. I don't want to meet her. No.
You mean Lizzie? Lizzie, she's just like all talk. She'll be fine. I don't think she even knows how to use that sword.
No. Morosim, whatever you're afraid of, Vickers can protect you from anything. You've seen her.
Will you protect me? She won't throw me off a roof like she did Marion?
No. That's all in the past, Morosim. What I'm offering you is a way forward.
Morosim, you'll be fine. Just come hang out in the temple. We'll give you a job, I guess. I mean, maybe on probation. We'll have to see if you earn your money. And listen, Lizzie, don't worry about it. When I married Vickers, she threatened to shoot me. Right? Do I look shot to you?
I think like, how healed are you from your injuries at the moment?
That's pretty good.
Very good question. Fully healed.
Oh, okay, so you don't seem shot or hurt or damaged at all. Okay, very good.
Oh, remind me, Morosim has a burn on his face, right, from the steam?
No, that wasn't Morosim. That was
No, Morosim, that was
Yeah.
that was someone else
right.
who is now very good.
Yeah. Now listen, it'll be fine. Like Lizzie, she just says these things. Completely fine.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Listen, you just come over. And Goopy and Bhaga, if you know where they are, tell them to come hang out too. They were cool. I like them.
They abandoned me. And he's
Well,
weeping.
good for them. You suck, but it's fine. And I'm going to pat him on the shoulder.
He's fully weeping because you have broken him, and like he has no friends, and he's just very sad. I think now he's gonna come with you, but I think the role here is to see whether he's noticed disappearing. So it's more like it's like a fortune roll.
I wanted to spend my coin to prevent that, though. That's why I spent the coin to have him.
Okay.
To have him, and I want to just illustrate this, that we're not keeping him at the temple, right? Because that would be obvious. Rather, I have spent the coin to give him safe haven and a steady job, so it will just seem like he has, he's been kicked out of the hive, so he's just taken a regular old job somewhere, right? So we will see Morosim like weepy and tired. You're like, don't worry, you'll be safe here. And then he's led into a strange but rather spacious home full of occult sigils drawn on the wall and barrels full of burnt trash. And Grotepir slapping on the back, going, "You'll be safe here." And he will be working as Grotepir's assistant in his occult shop. This is
very good.
I'm gonna mark him down on your crew as a contact, because I think now he is distinct of
Yep.
everyone else. How useful he is as a contact, I don't know, but he's a contact now.
I hope it's fair to say that I can spend a coin to have him disappear surreptitiously like this, but it feels like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think basically here I'm gonna say Morosim is now your close friend, but he's no longer a hive fixer. I'm gonna say Morosim,
a broken man, a broken shell of a man.
Broken shell of a man. Very good. Yeah, he's very grateful to you now. You spent the money, you saved him. Some definition of saved.
Yeah.
So,
And now I'm going to pump him for information. This largely involves like insulting him a lot.
so you may roll, and this is just your standard fortune roll, like as a gather information, right? And this is more about what he knows. I think like he's gonna tell you everything he knows. We'll find out how much he does know.
Is study appropriate?
Certainly more appropriate, no?
I think study can be appropriate because it's about piecing things together. Morosim is pretty stupid, so I think study can be like you're piecing together the snippets he tells you into a coherent narrative.
Yeah, we need the paper trail.
So I think study can work. I have now know what you'll find out from study that you won't find out if you had rolled a more talky aspect, and vice versa. Just fine. So
does anyone want to help with this?
Yeah, why not? I can help with that.
Okay.
And
I
wait,
get once more good cop, bad cop, but this time in Groot appears house.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's going to be like we listen to him and then we come back and then we have Abbas and I have a lot of like really loud off-screen arguments for that last 4 hours about what the information means.
Yes, very good.
See, I mean, unfortunately, it is Abbas that makes us the 4 versus the 3.
Bas, what annoying bit of snake advice do you give Miraz that pieces everything together?
annoying piece. Okay. All right. What I don't know. What kind of like what disconnected information can Morosim give us? Like just I don't just to guess.
I think okay, let's say that he's seen Elizabeth, say Lizzie and V in meetings together. He's definitely heard that the hive is very concerned about like kind of trouble it's going to be in very soon, and he definitely knows that Goopy and Baga were being like taken away from him so they could help in some like unrelated violence. Right? And probably from all of this, the player characters can piece together one way or another. The hive is under huge pressure from like the competition, and anyone they can like blame for that competition would be very useful because then they can just push that person out and then increase morale.
Okay. Maybe not snake related, but I can say that Miraz. Okay. When the lizard is in trouble, okay, what does it do? It sheds its tail. So whatever's attacking it goes for the tail. Lizard makes clean getaway.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Don't you understand?
Yeah, don't you understand?
Don't you understand?
And next time I get in trouble, I take my pants off and run away, huh?
I mean, it'll certainly work.
I think it strikes you that every time Morosim mentioned V, mentioned that V was looking like stressed, that she seemed to be taking it out on like her subordinates, which is why it's really unfair, you know, what she did to him, and that probably be a very good target for this kind of thing because she's coordinating what seems to be all of the hive's operations, because a lot of the hive's operations with regard to money and stuff in Pasar Hantu and its environs, because the bigger brains are too busy planning the war.
Yeah. So what we need to know most, I think, is what is the link between V and Bashundara? Like, what does the bribe look like?
Okay. So let's say that like he overheard something about what does Bashundara want?
I think it's actually, if I may, I think it's interesting if like we don't have that information on a 4, or at least from
Okay.
this.
Yeah, fair. But maybe we know about like a transfer being made. We don't necessarily
yes.
know what it is, but like
Yes,
there's
exactly.
a big deal being done between them at so and so date.
So I think let's say that you know that V is in touch with a bunch of people that she wasn't in touch with before, right? Like she wasn't in charge of all of the money, but now that's become her main responsibility because of the war. And that Bashundara is definitely one of the people whom she's now like in touch with personally, rather than being able to hand it off to somebody else or relying on someone else to do the work. And whatever the next big thing is, the reason that Goopy and Baga need to be taken away is that they're like V is like putting them on Bashundara duty.
Okay. So our plan is to hang out with these cool guys, Guppy and Baga, remind them that we're all friends here.
So you're saying Goopy and Baga are our point of entry?
This may not be our actual plan. I just made it up.
And also, to be clear, Goopy and Baga are very solid and dependable in that they're like chairs. They're very solid and dependable, so long as the only thing that you do with them is that you sit on them. Goopy and Baga can be relied on, do what they can do, which is stand around, look mean, and follow very basic and simple instructions. That's pretty much it. And
They seem
that
like
is
they're
what
weakening.
what they're doing now. What they
I
are
think, yeah, I like your point of entry of going to hang out with them on the day where they are supposed to be escorting this bribe, and then we'll see if we can like turn them to our side or if we have to fight them or what. But starting it as a social score, we just go like, "Hi guys, what's up? Are you escorting anything important today?" Makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's wonderful.
Very good. Yeah, I think that can absolutely work. I will think about what the bribe is, because I think it can be so many things, and so many things are so interesting here. So yeah, I will think about it. What we could do is we could do engagement if we feel we're ready for it. Roll engagement and then start the score next session.
Sure, yeah.
I
In
think
2
that sounds
weeks.
good.
Yeah, so let's do the engagement questions, which I will pull up because I always have to pull them up. Okay, we start with 1 die for sheer luck. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? I don't know if it's particularly bold or daring.
No, I think it's boulder daring, but not particularly. Like it's a crazy plan, but the biggest threat seems to be Goopy and Baga themselves, who I'm sure are a threat, but it's just 2 guys. Well, they probably have some backup, but it's not like we're robbing a bank here.
Oh, yeah,
They're nice
absolutely.
boys. We like
Yeah.
them.
They like you, before, or they did before, rolled quite
Yeah.
badly to make them your actual friends. But nonetheless,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? No, it's contingent on 2 factors, Goopy and Baga. So I don't think you lose it either. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they are weakest?
Yes, I think so. We got Morosim. I think this is where a die from that comes in.
And I think you are intercepting the bribe at the weakest point in the transference, right? Like you're not doing it when it's in full control under V, and you're not doing it when Bashundara gets it. You're doing it in the middle.
Yeah.
The target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? I think that in general they have defenses and preparations, but they don't have defenses and preparations against Goopy and Baga's friends are turning up to say hi. Seems to me that defenses and preparations they have are against violence and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you will lose the die here. So you're at 2 dice. Can any of your friends or contact provide aid or insight? And Morosim has. But if you already got that die for the detail.
Yeah, we already got that die from elsewhere, so I think.
So then,
well, I think actually, I think we should count a die from Pasha, Imran Pasha, as well.
yes. Okay.
Like we coordinated with him, he gave us a bunch of insight on that this was going down to begin with. So
Yeah, absolutely. And
Then we take 1 away for Lizzie.
and then we take 1 away for Lizzie. Yeah.
enemies or rivals are interfering in this operation, so you're back to 2 dice. Are there any other elements that you want to consider? Well, ultimately, the hive is higher tier than you. You will lose a die for the hive being higher tier for you. So you are at 1 die. You can roll this 1 die, and then we will know where.
Not bad. I think I will do it since I came up with the plan. So engagement 1.
Oh, it's a 1.
I roll a 1.
Very good.
Excellent.
So we will start in a desperate position. I will have some time to think about it, but I rather suspect that Lizzie will be right there when you turn up. This makes the most perfect and straightforward sense, but maybe something else will go wrong. We'll see when we get there. Fantastic. So then do we want to do XP now? And so blows out our brief candle. I named the disciples of the ceaseless temple thus, with both their false names and true. Soumithri, called Tree as the GM. Zoheb, called Klow as Miraz. Prince as Vickers. Emma as Joan. Aadiyat, called Soap as Abbas. Blades in the Dark and the original inspiration for Uduasha by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions. Iruvian playbooks by Johnstone Metzger. Jalandhar intro music by Kevin MacLeod. Outro music in Keeravani Ragam by U. Srinivas. Follow us at Desperate Attune on Twitter or email us at desperateattune@gmail.com. Support us at ko-fi.com/desperateattune.